everybody, and welcome back to the 3XFireGarage. On this episode, we're going to go over some of my plans for this summer's projects and kind of go over some other things that I had happen in the last month or so. So stick around. So before we get into this episode, I want to take a minute and thank Laura, your local oil girl. She's a Schaeffer's oil supplier. She's seen what we were doing on the channel and stuff and decided to come on board and support the channel with lubrication and stuff like that for the shop. So I'm pretty excited to have them on board this time. If some of you guys have seen in some of my other episodes, I have been using Schaeffer's lubricant products in a couple different episodes. I've used it for quite a while and I've liked it. Everything I've ever used from them, I've liked. I ended up contacting her. I'll drop her link in the description in the bottom so you can contact her if you're interested in any of their products. But I contacted her about picking up some more of that citral that I like to use for adhesion remover or grease remover or pretty much anything like that, and kind of started talking, and she decided that she wanted to get on board with the channel and help support it by supplying the shop with some of my lubrication needs that I have. So I can't thank them enough. I'm really excited to start working with them. So with those two things out of the way, we'll dive into this episode. On this episode, I'm going to go over some things that I planned for this summer. Apparently, I'm going to do some quad stuff. I have a 2007 TRX450er that I'm going to do basically a restoration for the most part. There's a few things that I'm probably not going to get to this summer, but we'll see where we get. And like I mentioned in the last video, I did pick up a 2003 Trailblazer 400 Polaris two-wheel drive. And that's kind of what kickstarted this whole quad thing again. Little backstory, I used to race quads probably about 8 years ago. I used to race, and I was pretty decent at it and stuff. And then I just kind of got tired of it. And I had some things happen with the quad that kind of just deterred me from wanting to work on it anymore. So I kind of gave up on it and just focused on racing snowmobiles. But I went and bought that Trailblazer, and I'll show you some pictures of that. I got the Trailblazer home, and I started riding it and stuff. And I don't know, I've kind of always wanted either a sport, scrambler, or a Trailblazer for a long time. I remember being younger, and they were always kind of cool. And I guess I remember them being a lot more funner than what I ended up with, I guess. They're kind of turds. I don't know, I'm sure I'll get some hate in the comments for that, but I'm not impressed, and mine runs good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's low miles. I bought it from the original owner. That was an old boy, and he ended up wanting to trade it for a golf cart. I made him an offer that he liked and ended up selling it to me, and the thing's mint. It's clean. It's a nice bike, but after riding it, I don't know, 3-4 times, I'm like, yeah, this thing sucks. Everybody brags about them online about how they're 38, 39 horse. Well, an 04 or an 05 TRX450 only makes about that, and it will decimate one of these. I don't care. And yeah, I know I don't have a pipe on mine or a clutch kit or anything like that, and I had plans on doing that, but the aftermarket for them Trailblazer 400s just kind of sucks. There ain't really anybody left that's making parts for them anymore, or go fast parts for them, and the ones that are making go fast parts for them, their wait times are ridiculous. Honestly, I'm on the fence if I'm even going to keep the quad. At this point, I'm kind of thinking about selling it and buying like a LT 400 or a DV. I really would like a DVX 400 just because I'm a cat guy, and I know they're the same thing as the KFX or the LT or LTZ 400, but I wouldn't mind getting a 400 DVX to replace it because it just, I don't know. I can't see sticking a bunch of money into it and seeing it really become some type of performance animal like everybody claims they are. I mean, that thing with 80 horse, like they claim you can get out of them, I don't know. I'm just not impressed. I just don't see it being something that's going to be a wow factor for me. So I do have a few small projects. I'm going to keep it around for a little while, and I may end up just keeping that Trailblazer and letting my girlfriend ride it at this point. It's an all right trail bike. We got really narrow trails. I'll show some videos of that down the road of riding in the trails that we have around here. And it does all right for that. And honestly, I would probably rather ride that through the trails than my TRX at this point. But so that's kind of the gist of what's going on with the Trailblazer. All right, on to the TRX. The TRX and me have a long history. I bought the quad brand new in '07. I've had it. I'm the only owner. I've had it since day one. I know everything that's happened to it. And honestly, it wasn't my first choice when I was looking for a sport quad. I wanted to buy a YZF or whatever the hell they call them now, YXZ. I wanted to buy one of them 450s, but the price just wasn't right on them. I could buy a TRX, put all the accessories on it that I wanted and needed to race for cheaper than I could get a YZF 450. So I kind of went the Honda route, and I don't know if that maybe bit me or not, but I had a lot of problems with it. I know everybody, some guys call them tractors and stuff, but mine wasn't a tractor. Mine was kind of a pile. The motor had been apart 6 or 7 times under warranty when I first got it, and I had a lot of problems with it. I had a lot of problems with lower ends going out in it. I had a lot of problems with top ends going out of it, and I always ran Honda oil. I did everything by the book as far as lubricants, filters. I was always on top of the maintenance, and I still had a lot of problems with the quad. So I've kind of always been a little pissy about the quad, but I kept it around because I don't really sell anything anyways. So I rode it, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 seasons. I raced MX with it, and I did do a couple ice oval races with it, studded classes, and that's when I realized, I'd rather just keep racing snowmobiles. If I'm going to ride in the winter, I ain't dealing with that nightmare. I'll just leave it for the summer, race motocross. So that's kind of what I did with it. And then I rode it for a few years after I quit racing motocross on it, and I don't know, it just seemed like every time I rode it, it was $100 bill. It might as well have been a boat. It cost me every time I rode it. There was always something wrong with it. It was never right, and I don't know, I just got kind of tired of it. So eventually I just put it on the back burner, and it sat for, I think the last ORV sticker I had on it was 2012. So anyways, I got that trailblazer and started riding that, and it honestly made me miss my TRX, because even though the TRX was a headache, it was a riot when it ran right. Like, I enjoyed riding it, and after riding that trailblazer, I was over it. I was like, yeah, maybe it's time to dig the TRX out and see what we can come up with. So I pulled out the TRX about 2-3 weeks ago, and it was bad. A mental note to yourself, guys: don't let your stuff sit for 8 years. If you do a better job of putting rat killer or mouse poison or something around it to keep the mice out of it. Because I mean, I've had snowmobiles the mice have gotten into, but there's never been anything as bad as what this was. I'll post some pictures of what I'm talking about. I think this is going to be a bit of a nightmare project. So as you can see, the intake runner was completely packed full of mouse, just shit, piss, whatever the hell it is. I've never seen or smelled anything as atrocious as what was in that intake. I've seen a lot of mice chew up snowmobiles and get in airboxes and live in the exhaust, and nothing was ever as bad as what that thing was. They ate the filter right off the airbox, went down through there. They must have lived at the throttle slide, and it just ran underneath the little slit that the throttle is open for idle, right down into the intake runner, and it was nasty. So I ended up tearing it all apart, and luckily, which I ain't never very lucky on this quad, this is probably one time in a million that I've ever been this lucky, the engine was on compression, so all the valves were closed, and nothing actually seeped by the valves into the bore. Because when I quit riding it, the motor itself only had maybe 5 hours on the bottom end, and the top end was probably 2 hours on it. That was kind of the reason why I quit riding it. It went in for its first valve shim. I got screwed on that deal there, and after that, I just was like, screw it. I'm over the project. I shoved it in the corner, and I quit riding it. So I knew the head and the lower end didn't have a lot of time on it, so I ended up getting it all tore apart and found out that nothing did seep down in the bore. The bore's still good. It looks just like brand new. The head itself looked pretty good other than the intake runner being filled with crap. So that kind of was a buzzkill. I was hoping to just get it out do a quick oil change on it, get it fired up and see, but now it's tore down to the head's off. I actually spent a lot of time trying to figure out what I was going to do with the head and the carb. The carb was in rough shape. The slide was frozen solid in it. The choke was frozen solid. It was in pretty rough shape. I even pulled it apart and went and bought an ultrasonic cleaner, and that didn't even touch it. It was that bad. So in the process of trying to get the throttle cable freed up, I ended up chipping the slides in it, which don't chip the slides on them. Apparently, them things are not cheap. I didn't realize I've put slides in sleds and Makunis, VMs, TMXs, all that, flat slides, and never had a slide cost as much as the damn slide in that FCR carb. That was crazy. So I ate that bill there. I ended up getting it all apart, figured out where I wanted to send it. The problem right now is everybody has got a pretty long lead time for getting any type of work done. Some of the people I dealt with weren't so bad. I think it was Jet Labs I talked to. They were like 5 or 6 weeks, and it's a carb rebuild. I'm not waiting 5 or 6 weeks to have you do a carb rebuild. So I ended up getting a hold of Tokyo Mods, and they were happy to do the project. They were happy to do the carb. They were going to do their Tokyo Mods kit on it. 2 weeks turnaround, great. So I got it boxed up, finally got it sent out. The carb's sitting out there. That should be back in the next week or so, I'm hoping. The head was another situation. I tried asking for help on the TRX page and kind of told them what my budget was, because I'm not looking to spend a ton of money on this thing right now. The head had low miles on it. All I wanted it was to clean. I wanted to make sure the intakes, the seats were still good, the valves were still good, and maybe have it ported because it's already apart and off, and it's way past warranty, so now I can finally have them hog something out. And everybody kept tagging people left and right in the post, and honestly, their prices were kind of crazy. I wasn't going to pay $600, $700 to have somebody port it and stick my stock valves back in it. It just wasn't something I was going to do. So I ended up going through THR Performance in Texas. That was the other thing, too. There were so many fly-by-night people that were tagged in it that, I'm sorry, I've been burnt enough times that I want photo proof. If you got a Facebook page running your business, I want to see like weekly updates of what's going through your shop. I want to know that it's a real shop, not some hole in the wall like my little garage I have here and some guy in the back corner. Now, don't get me wrong, there are old boys out there that are very good at doing stuff like that, and they do work in a little hole in the wall. But like I said, I've been burned too many times that I wasn't going down that road. I wanted somebody reputable, and I wanted to see the work. And there was a lot of people that didn't have any pictures. It was all word of mouth, and I wasn't going that route. THR had pictures, and they post probably once every couple weeks, and honestly, the stuff looks top notch. I mean, you got guys posting pictures of the split and the runner, and it's wiggly waggly like that, and it's like, I don't want somebody that looks like they have palsy in their porting my stuff. Sorry, I'm a bit of a stickler. I want it to look nice and straight and clean on the intake divider, and if you can't do that, then you're probably not who I want to have doing my head porting. And honestly, all the stuff that Tyler, I believe is what his name is, I've seen, it looks phenomenal. It really does. And honestly, after dealing with him, the head's been shipped down there. I've been dealing with him. It actually should be back by the end of the week, maybe Monday. He's been awesome to deal with. He's always right back within a couple hours messaging me. He's kept me in the loop. He's let me know everything about it. Apparently, when they did the OEM head under warranty, they did put titanium valves in it. I'm kind of surprised by that. I figured it would just had stock cheapies in it. So I'm not exactly sure what the valve brands are, but he did let me know that there were titanium valves put in it when I had the last dealership put a head on it for warranty the last time around. So that was pretty cool, but I'm pretty excited to get that back and start on that and get rolling. As far as the rest of the quad goes, I got tearing into it after we got it pulled in here, and I knew the quad was bad. Like I said, I raced like 5 or 6 seasons on it, and I beat it. I beat it pretty bad. And honestly, when I raced it, I was like 16, 15, I think. Maybe I was 14 when I started. And I was not no top shop mechanic by any means. There was a lot of cobbled stuff on it, and actually I spent the last probably 2 weeks uncobbling shit on it, because I don't know what the fuck I was thinking or what I was doing, but there was shit in there that I was like, oh my, what the hell did I do there? So I did end up getting it all it's all back straight. It looks factory again as far as stuff that I apparently cobbled back in the day, but the plastics were hit. I thought I was going to get away with just putting a wrap over the plastics, kind of maybe wet sand and buffing them up, but as soon as I tore it apart, every bracket was broke. Every mount was broke. There wasn't a single matching bolt in the damn thing. Everything was a different size, different head, different style. And so I'm like, I didn't really want to buy $500 or $600 worth of plastics, but I bit the bullet and I ended up buying a set of plastics for it, which ended up biting me in the ass because everything's on back order. So who knows, it might be here by the end of the month. I don't know. The game plan is I'd like to have the quad running by June, mid-June is kind of the tentative schedule for it. But at this point, I don't even know if we're going to make it there. It just depends on when the back order stuff actually decides to show up or not. But, so I bought all brand new plastics, new side panels, new fenders, new hood, new rear fenders, the whole shebang for it. And I ended up spending the extra money, and I got a wrap made for it. That actually should be here this week, so I'm pretty excited about that. It's going to be kind of a retro throwback to a 250R, which I've always been kind of fond of that body or that style. What is it, like 86 that had the blue hood and said 4 tracks down the side of the radiator panels or whatever you want to call them. And so I'm pretty excited about that. So with that all out of the way, I'm going to give you guys a little walk around of the Trailblazer and the TRX and kind of show you what I'm working with right now. The Trailblazer's dirty. Yeah, I know. We just got back from riding on Sunday, so I mean, I haven't had a minute to actually do anything, but overall it is pretty clean. I mean, yeah, it's kind of missing the Trailblazer portion or the T off of the Trailblazer there, but as far as the plastics go, they're actually pretty clean and pretty solid. Tires have good tread on them, but honestly, if I do keep this thing around, they're going to go. The tires suck. It's stuck on wet grass. I hate these tires. For knockoff hole shots, these things are terrible. I actually ended up going out and buying a set of stock wheels and throwing a set of old paddles I had on because they suck that bad. Honestly, where we ride, it's real sandy, so running the paddles ain't a big deal. And eventually I'm going to throw this rack on it I got from a friend of mine. It should bolt on pretty easily, but I plan on making a video of doing the rack. It's going to be a little bit of fab work, but the only thing I've really done to this so far since I got it is I did put I think it's a Q Stealth FMF on it. I had to do a little bit of fabrication. I had to cut it off, shorten it up, and then build an adapter piece here. But honestly, it sounds really good for what it is. It's not too overly loud, so I was kind of excited about that. But here, I'll give you a fire up quick. I can't complain. The thing runs good for what it is. I mean, it's not no powerhouse or no animal, but it fires right up every time. It idles good. It runs good. It rides good. It's just, it wasn't what I was exactly expecting, I guess. But now we'll move on to the TRX. Yeah, this thing is something else. I finally got it all tore apart. I'm going to buy new tires, new wheels for it. That is something I do plan on doing. These are a little worse off than I kind of expected they were. And like I said, the plastics were pretty hit. They're missing bolts and all the rivets are pulled out and the rear plastics are melted off and they're bad. They're in rough shape, but really ain't much to report on this. I did buy a new battery. I'm going to try one of them lithium ion moose batteries. It's kind of a trick little battery. It's got a tester on it. Shows you how full the battery is and stuff, so that's kind of cool. We'll give that a whirl. As far as the subframe goes, why it's blue, I was, like I said, a stupid kid, and I thought, well, it's an aluminum subframe. I will strip the powder coating off and I will try to polish it. Did not work well. I got most of the powder coating off and I just gave up on the project. So for now, it's just bombed blue. I know I get a bunch of shit for spray painting it, but I do plan on this winter to have the frame stripped right down. I'm going to have it all repowder coated. I'm still on the fence on what color I want to powder coat it, but I am going to weld in the gusset kit for it. Why I have it all stripped down. So I do kind of plan on racing it. I kind of told myself when I got it out that, yeah, we'll just get it out and ride it with my friends. Well, that lasted about 2 weeks, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go back to racing it. So I'm hoping to get it all done, like I said, mid-June, and I can get out on the track for a couple events and, I don't know, see if the old fat washed up guy still has any skills left in it. But I did buy, the blue hoses and stuff. As you can kind of tell which way the wrap's going to be. I'm pretty excited for the color choice this time around. But that's pretty much about the gist of this project right now. Just kind of waiting for parts. Hopefully in the next week or so, I'll have a bunch of parts in here and we can start working on this project. The other thing too is there's a whole bunch of like little miscellaneous stuff that I didn't realize was missing, like seat rubbers and valve cover gaskets, and the little washers that go on the valve cover bolts were missing, and the petcock on the fuel tank leaked, and it's been kind of a mess so far. I've been at the Honda dealer 3 days a week buying a little miscellaneous odds and ends for it. So that's going to pretty much wrap up this video. Like I said, I just want to give you guys kind of a rundown on the TRX project, and I don't even know if I'll call it the Trailblazer project. I plan on doing a few little small odds and ends on it, but there really isn't a big following for it. If you guys are interested in seeing more of the Trailblazer stuff, you can drop comments and maybe that'll ignite me to want to do a little more with the project. But at this point, I've tried every avenue on it, and I really don't want to work on it at this point. If I could find a pipe for it and stuff, then maybe I'd be a little more interested in working on the project, but it's just not a performance platform. Honestly, the front end geometry and the front end shocks, they fucking suck. I mean, they're sportsman front end. It's crap. I'm really not impressed with it. You can't ride it hard, and I'm sure I'll get guys in the comments that brag about how hard they ride it. I can ride it as hard as anybody else out there, and it rides like shit. They do. They have terrible angles. The rear swing arm, the quad sits too tall in general, and trying to lower it is a whole nother fucking fiasco. So I'm just really not sold on that scrambler platform, Trailblazer platform, sport, whatever you want to call them. So I don't know if you guys would like to see more on that project. I guess leave a comment. If not, it'll be around the channel. Who knows how long? Like I said, it may end up going down the road. It really don't hurt my feelings. I'd rather put my effort into the TRX. And like I said, now I'm a little older. I'm a little bit better off. I can actually buy some better parts for it, and I think I can make it last a lot better than it used to. So I'm hoping that we can get the bugs worked out of it, and we can go from there. I'm going to do a couple product reviews for the Schaeffer oil products. Like I said, I've used their products in the past. I've actually used them on the channel here. I'm excited to be working with Laura, and like I said, I'll drop her information in the bottom if you guys want to contact her to get some of these products to try for yourself. But I do plan on using some of their products in future videos to kind of do a review on them. Like I said, I've already used this stuff in the past, and I like it. I mean, you can go back to the video when we were peeling the stickers off the Mountain Cat there and cleaning that hood up. I used it on that, and I've used it on a few other projects, but I do plan on doing a couple review videos. And honestly, we've been working on, I might end up running their oil in the TRX when that's finished. We're kind of on the fence. We'll see what happens with that, but I think that might be a viable option. But I can't thank her enough for coming on board with the channel. Just like Alba, I plan on getting a set of bead locks from them for the TRX and a couple other odds and ends for the TRX project. So I'm excited to be working with them. But I just like to thank everybody for sticking around and checking out the channel again. Just like, subscribe, thumbs up, all that fancy jazz that everybody tells you to do. Just helps the channel grow and get a little bit more exposure. But thanks for sticking in. Thanks for staying tuned this week.